Welcome to lesson 3. And on lesson 3, we will be talking about time signatures, which is a topic that we do not address very much. I probably have one lesson about this a year, and then we only really talk about time signatures again if something strange comes up, usually in a high school level piece of music. But this lesson is about really understanding what time signatures are all about. So I'm going to zoom in on the bottom part of my screen here so we've got more room to write. Maybe I'm just zooming in that much. There it is. So when we have a time signature, we have two different numbers, and we're going to start with the top number. And the top number is the easiest one to talk about because it simply means how many beats are in a measure. So this top number can be literally anything. There could be 3 beats in a measure, or 4, or 5, or 6. And yes, it could be a ridiculous number, but obviously it's usually something relatively small to help keep track of the measures. So you will see several examples in your assignment asking you how many beats are in a measure in this particular time signature, and you just simply look at the top number and it tells you how many beats are in a measure. That is your answer. And we will talk about what that means musically in a little bit. Now, looking at the bottom number, the bottom number talks about what kind of note gets the beat. And this is a part that we skip over a lot simply because usually we read music where there's a 4 as the bottom number or a quarter note is the beat. Now, that isn't always the case, and music is written in many different time signatures where it's not always the quarter note that is counted as one beat. And the way you figure out how these bottom numbers work is you take the bottom number and you make it into a fraction. This is a completely different fraction. I'm not talking about the time signature. I am saying take the bottom number and make it into a fraction where 1 is on the top. And when you look at that fraction, just give it a name, just like it's math. All right, and then that's 1/4. And we also call that a quarter. So a quarter note gets the beat. So we'll look at some other examples. Let's say I have a 4/8 as my time signature. So we're going to take that 8, that bottom number, and figure out what that means. Make it into a fraction where we put 1 on the top and the bottom number on the bottom. 1/8. And that's pretty easy. That's an eighth. So an eighth note gets the beat. Let's look at another example. About 3/2. So we'll take that bottom number, make it into a fraction. 1 over 2. We usually call that a half. So a half note gets the beat. And look at 5/16. Looking at the bottom number only. That fraction is 1 over 16, or a 16th. That's not spelled right. And a 16th note gets the beat. So in your assignment, you will be asked to look at time signatures and figure out what they mean. Decide what note gets the beat and how many beats are in a measure. So we'll do a few of these up here on the staff. Starting with 4/4. All right, the top note means that there are 4 beats in a measure. And the bottom note means that the quarter note, we're actually going to draw the note, gets 1 beat. Of course, that's one that you already know. So I'll write a new time signature right here. This one is 6/8. 6/8 is actually fairly common in other pieces of music, especially at the upper high school level. So 6/8, looking at the top number, means that there are 6 beats in a measure. And the bottom note, like we did below, we make it into a fraction, 1/8. The 8th note, which is a note with 1 flag on it, gets 1 beat. And we will try one more example. How about 7/1? We haven't talked about 1 as the bottom number yet. Once again, the top number is easy. That means 7 beats in a measure. And this fraction would be 1 over 1, which is basically just 1. And for that, we're just going to call it a whole note. A whole note gets 1 beat. So that is what the time signatures mean. There will be another video about how we actually make music out of those time signatures. But for now, this is the information to help you get through the Lesson 3 assignment so that you can figure out and explain what various time signatures mean.